What's up, everybody? It's Guy Costin, founder and CEO of Dakota. Welcome to our latest episode of Mastering Salesforce.com. I'm joined by two of my colleagues, Dominique Mortalidi and Tim Dolan. Guys, welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So as we know, when we go through this, there are a few leverage points organizations can use to successfully manage their business. As I always open when we talk about Salesforce.com, it can get a bad rap, right? It can get a bad rap because, oh my gosh, it's super expensive, what it's not. And then two, the implementation, it always fails, it doesn't work. Tim, you've been here 13 years as an investment sales professional, successfully utilizing Salesforce.com. So when we talk about mastering Salesforce, we're really talking about leverage.
Yep.
That's really what it's all about. And what this show is all about is sharing our best practices of how to get the most out of Salesforce.com, both from an individual salesperson's perspective as well as a Salesforce administrator.
Exactly.
Right?
So the leverage component, let's just talk internal or individually myself, right? Getting the account contact information in there, right, with certain fields that make sense for your business, which we can touch on. But it's that leverage point to have everything in one spot, right?
Yeah.
And then also is running activity reports, right? Running past activity as a salesperson that provides sales triggers, massively efficient, right? Another leverage point, opportunity pipeline reports. But not only as an individual salesperson, right? Organizationally, running a sales team or even a marketing team or a customer success team or client service team, having all this information in one CRM, one spot that is effectively speaking the same language, right? Because when you talk to different departments,
Yeah.
right? Marketing team might report a different way than the sales team, than the client service team, than the accounting team. Salesforce effectively gets rid of how people report because it collects the data.
It's one unified view.
It's one unified view, which is massive, massive leverage point across the organization.
Great. And so for those of you who don't know Dakota, we were founded in 2006. Our first business, we've been raising capital for investment firms for the past 18 years. We raised over $25 billion. We have 9 salespeople in the field every single day. Salesforce has been our key tech stack, our key technology to run our business. Runs it from a sales perspective, a client service perspective, a customer service perspective. It runs everything and houses all of our information. We've customized it to make it very useful. In 2019, after raising $25 billion, we didn't really like all the databases in the marketplace. We decided to take our own database and commercialize it, turn it into a product so we would have great data and we'd have the resources to keep it up to date and fresh so our team would always have great leads. That now, 5 years later, we have 1,123 investment firms as subscribers to our data with 5,000 fundraisers. So to think that we appreciate and love Salesforce and really get all the details would be, an understatement, if you will. But it's a real game changer in being able to simply house information. And part of what we're going to talk about today, and one of the key reasons Dom is always on this show, is Dom is our product specialist on our Salesforce app. Where basically, when we created the second business, Dakota Marketplace, that's an online application. We now created an app 4 years in, and we've had a lot of iterations, where we've taken the entirety of our Dakota Marketplace application and put that into the Salesforce app where you can download it into your Salesforce instance and have access to everything in Dakota Marketplace within your Salesforce instance. But before we get to that, we really want to talk a little bit more about how, we always want to share one key tip, if you will, that we believe are game changers on how to best master and utilize Salesforce, maximum productivity. So Tim, let's just talk salespeople, investment sales. Let's talk about the two main utilities for it to make sure you get maximum utility around, meeting scheduled and call notes. And the sort of the why behind it.
Yeah. So the past activity, logging all of your calls, meetings, demos, all your conversations that have been scheduled into your CRM. So you can run past activity reports. And there's really kind of 3 use cases for past activity reports. One is to check yourself, right? To see over time, who have I talked to and am I continuously keeping up to date? 2 is to report internally, right? We talk about on Rainmaker Live the importance of creating alignment and getting that buy-in internally with the sales team and your partners, that's where you're going to run your past activity reports so you can share those internally. But then also running that past activity report also shows you how you're doing against your TAM, which having all your information, your accounts and contacts organized properly in your CRM, you can run activity reports of who have I talked to, who have I not talked to, and you can see, wow, I've got some opportunity, or I've got some holes in a certain channel. I need to start focusing effort here. Or you can also see some trends, right? If you get a lot of conversations with RAs and less so with family offices, right? Maybe spend more time on if it's fruitful, if it's leading to business, that's where you can use the CRM to also look at trends of what's working.
Yeah, and so that's the belief. The data
drives business decisions.
Everything.
Yeah.
And it's data, and then it's intelligence against that data. So let's talk about the analogy of Salesforce as a car, right? Meeting scheduled to be the gas.
Exactly.
Right. Without the gas, you don't go anywhere. Without the meeting scheduled getting in, and then of course the meeting notes. Interestingly, the world's changed over the past 2 years. You know, AI, ChatGPT is coming up on its 2-year anniversary in November. And the ability, if you collected all these meeting notes, right, Dom, over the course of time, and now you can apply AI, it's a game changer. Right now, if you haven't entered those meeting notes, right, it's going to cause a lot of pain or lost opportunity, because you're able to now tap into using basically basic language to query information from all of the, basically hundreds of meetings that you've done. So it's critical to get the meeting scheduled. Now this is, when you think about masteringsalesforce.com, we're talking execution.
Yeah.
Okay, meeting scheduled, call notes, allows you to create past activity reports for your salespeople and you as a salesperson, in addition to rapidly creating pipeline reports. Where salespeople win and lose is all about the rapid recall of information. If you're constantly looking for information, you're going to be simply less efficient.
Yeah. Not to divert the conversation too much, but I'm sure a lot of folks, I'm sitting here thinking, how do I get my team, how do I get my colleagues to buy in, to actually start using Salesforce, right? How do I get them to log their activity? How do I get them to put their notes in? So how do we do it? Because I know how
well, I just heard how the biggest asset managers in the world does it. She just told me. She does what we do. You basically pay all your commissions out of Salesforce.
Exactly.
Right?
So if it's not in Salesforce, me as a salesperson, I can't get paid. So that drives behavior.
Right, but it also shouldn't be seen as a burden, because if people look at this as a burden, that it's tough to get it in, it's your greatest leverage point.
Absolutely.
Right? I mean, and if you want to be a sales professional and be successful, you have to get that basic information into your CRM to create leverage.
Yep.
And it creates leverage for you as a salesperson as well as the organization. So that's sort of point number one. So point number two is what this show is all about. Before we get to the Salesforce app that really can be a fundamental game changer and solve two key problems, Dom, Tim, let's talk about what we call the magic field. We have two businesses that operate off the magic field. Let's just talk about the investment sales business. Raising capital, assume you have one investment strategy. Let's talk about what is the magic field, Tim, on the account screen. Yeah. It's on the account screen. I'll turn it over to you, Tim.
It is the sales cycle field, right? So if you look at any account across any channel.
Not to be confused with the opportunity sales cycle, two different things.
Totally separate.
This is at the account screen. So if you have Cambridge Associates as your target account, on that account screen will be a sales cycle for, let's say, your XYZ is the name of your fund that you're marketing right now. That's particular product. It's called XYZ. You have XYZ sales cycle. And then what are the fields?
We have them defined not only in Marketplace, in our Salesforce app, and we can share them as a follow-up, but it effectively is lead, prospecting, relationship stage, LTE or long-term evaluation, high level of interest, due diligence, red zone, finals, closed won, closed lost, or former client. And what that effectively does, it gives you a very, very quick snapshot on where do I stand with this account. Have I reached out to them? Yes, they're in prospecting. When you get that response, they move from prospecting to either I want to take the next step, or never going to work with you, or not right now, right? So next step, it goes into relationship or high level of interest or due diligence if it moves fast.
So the key takeaway, just as we're getting into this, Tim, is that if my job is to cover RIAs in Boston, okay, and I can run and group in Salesforce all the RAs in Boston based upon sales cycle,
Yep.
I can go in immediately and say who's in prospecting,
Mm-hmm.
which means we have not connected yet, who's in red zone, who's a current client, right?
Yeah.
All of that. So I'm able to see my penetration rate against a certain number of RAs or banks or broker dealers, and so I know where to focus my prospecting time.
It also it shows what does good look like, right? And a lot of folks are segmented, whether it's by geography or by channel, right? So if I have a defined channel, this sales cycle field, the golden field, allows you to know exactly where you stand against your job. So if there's 3,000 RAs that custody at Schwab, Fidelity, Pershing, where do I stand against those 3,000, right? If I'm 1,500 are blank sales cycle field, it's a lot of wood to chop.
Or in prospecting,
Or in
because you're trying to
prospecting,
you're trying to zero out prospecting. I like to look at it as in Philadelphia, if there's 71 RAs that are qualified that we know exist in Philadelphia, I want to know exactly where we stand, where I stand against them. And if 71 sit in prospecting, that means I'm making no progress.
Yeah.
This allows you to very rapidly see where you should focus your sales efforts.
There is a way, not to get too nuanced, but with field tracking in Salesforce, you can then also see how you've done over time.
Right.
Right. So show me the RAs. How many did I have in prospecting in Q1? How many do I have now in Q2? So the field tracking history, which is a capability in Salesforce, we use every single day.
Right. And we'll put in the show notes, if you will, the values for the golden field. So the golden field is simply a drop-down menu, a pick list, as it use Salesforce's parlance, that has the name of the product, typically after that, name of the product, the word sale, two-word sales cycle, and then it has kind of the 8 different stages, if you will, where you're in the sales cycle. Then you can very rapidly create reports and group so you can see exactly where you stand against certain channels in certain metro areas.
So I did get asked this last week. Let's say you're at a large asset manager that has 10 to 15 products. You would have
to have one per product.
Exactly. Right. All right. Good.
Because you need to know where you stand.
For each product.
Right. And it's a very rapid measurement tool. So the golden field is a complete game changer.
Yep.
So that is our one major league tip. We went through the first 2 of how to utilize Salesforce in its most productive way, at a most minimalistic way to get the most value for a salesperson. And then if you create a magic field, right, the magic field, the golden field, it is a complete game changer. So you can group where you stand by sales cycle, so then you can know where to focus your sales efforts next. So Tim, let's get into because Tim and I have worked together since 2011 working on Salesforce.com. Dominique has been at the forefront the past 4 years of our Salesforce app. So Tim, let's talk about what are the 2 reasons people hate Salesforce and the implementations fall flat on their face, crash and burn. You want to walk through the story of everyone's conundrum around Salesforce, or do you want me to do it?
Well, I can start. I think most people, if you're a new user to Salesforce.com, it's exciting, right? You paid a good amount of money for the enterprise solution. You log in and you look at it and you're like, there's nothing. It's blank.
That's all the generic fields.
It's generic. It's not fit for our industry, our business, your business.
There's no data.
There's no data. And you sit there and you're like, oh, wow, this is
Or you upload the data
and
then you begin to realize it's categorized weird, it's not filled into certain fields, and a lot of it's stale.
Yeah. So the user interface design, that's
So then what do people do? If you're a Salesforce administrator, you're laughing right now because what do? You go find a system integrator to help you set up your Salesforce and customize it. They don't know your industry. They don't set it up properly. The salespeople log in. The data is not great. The UI is not the way that they wanted to see it. And then they get frustrated. And then they rip out. They think it's Salesforce.com's problem. And they're out. That's very, very simple. But that's not what the outcome that we're looking for. What would utopia look like?
You log in and you see all the necessary fields that make sense to your business in your industry with good, clean, accurate data.
Yes. You would also log in and see a beautiful homepage with all information relevant to the fundraising world.
Yes.
Right? Okay, so what we have done Dom, why don't you talk about this, because you've been here since basically day one around the Salesforce app. Everybody wants an integration between our database business and their CRM. Our database business is built on Salesforce. So instead of creating an integration, we created an application that can be downloaded from the App Exchange called the Dakota Salesforce app. And you can download it right into your instance of Salesforce.
Exactly.
Would you like to give a little overview of what it looks like today? And when I tell you it's a game changer, I'm not using hyperbole. It's the killer app. It solves all the problems that we just went through. I'm not going to steal Dom's thunder. Dom, over to you.
Absolutely. Yeah, so what we've really done is we've put our web-based version of Dakota Marketplace right there in your Salesforce. So you have the home page, you have job and role changes, you have all of our account and contact details on your record pages. You also have metro areas. So as they mentioned, we're really big on city scheduling. So you have that user interface right there in your Salesforce, and you don't have to pay a developer to create that for you. We've done it for you.
No program required, no developers required. It's probably at least a $300,000 to $500,000 custom build, if you will. And you can never get there because the developer would literally have to go into Dakota Marketplace and study it, because we've spent 4 years building this. Now, there have been different iterations.
Of course.
We have 112 current installations. It's going straight to 200 to 300 after just the release just a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
Continue on, Dom.
And what's great about it as well is it's only an hour installation call. So we get on the call with you guys, we walk you through how to implement it, we'll train you, get you set up, and then you're ready to rock and roll and pulling in all of our data.
And then Dom, talk to me about the whole linking and syncing and whose data is whom, the whole thing, and how when we do that, we really become the back-end Salesforce administrator for our customers.
Yeah, absolutely. So as we mentioned earlier, there is 2 different scenarios of a client. So we have the new to Salesforce client who doesn't have anything implemented. So we've made it so you can map our information into your standard fields, so you don't really have to do much with a Salesforce consultant on the front end. We take care of that for you. But then we do have larger firms who also have a lot of data, other data integrations. They don't want us touching their information they already have. So what we've done is we've added another tab, and we're more complementary. So now all of our data lives side by side with what you have existing, so you don't have to worry about us overriding any existing data as well.
But importantly, Dom, one question, those that are used to Salesforce, when our data sits side by side, they can run reports on our data and their data combined?
Absolutely. So we bring in these custom Dakota fields, so you just pull those into the reports, and you can have your information side by side with our information.
That's very strong.
And the one thing that I think you're all guessing is going to come up is that you now only have to log in to one application, because you get the entirety of Dakota Marketplace in your Salesforce instance, including the homepage. It looks identical to Dakota Marketplace. It's updated in conjunction with Dakota Marketplace, whether it's fundraising news, job and role changes, new investments, new accounts, new contacts, all of our content, all of our videos, everything, all on the homepage. It's identical. So now your salespeople don't have to toggle between 2 applications. And when they're in their own Salesforce, they can attach activity, opportunities, and any other information. Plus, if you look at all the information we have in Dakota Marketplace, it's all reportable within your Salesforce instance.
Exactly.
Great. So when we talk about mastering Salesforce.com, as you can tell, all the great firms that we know that we've even interviewed in our Rainmaker podcast utilize Salesforce as their source of truth, how they run their business. One thing that people struggle with is, 1, the amount of money they have to spend to get the right user interface design, the proper fields. 2, getting the proper, accurate account and contact and additional information and keeping that up to date. Our Salesforce app solves all those problems. So if you do want to learn more about the Salesforce app and how it truly can change your life, and I mean this in all sincerity, please reach out to our team at Dakota. You can find us at dakota.com. We'll set up a demo. We'll walk you through everything. And we'll also walk you through how to set up the magic field, the golden field, which really changes everything because of how quickly you can group information about where you stand against certain accounts. That's our major league tip for this episode of Mastering Salesforce.com. Tim, Dominique, thanks so much for joining. We appreciate it. Can't wait to see you all on the next episode of Mastering Salesforce.com. This episode is brought to you by Dakota Marketplace. Are you tired of constantly jumping between multiple databases and channels to find the right investment opportunities? Introducing Dakota Marketplace, the comprehensive institutional and intermediary database built by fundraisers for fundraisers. With Dakota Marketplace, you'll have access to all channels and asset classes in one place, saving you time and streamlining your fundraising process. Say goodbye to the frustration of searching through multiple databases, websites, Form ADVs, and say hello to a seamless and efficient fundraising experience. Sign up now and see the difference Dakota Marketplace can make for you. Visit dakota.com/Dakota-Marketplace today.